Picture this scenario. I walk up to you on the street and say, "Hey, have you heard of this new video game? It's a game where you own a garden, and the objective is to attract various species of animals to live there. But these animals are actually piñatas, and you can dress them up, have them fight, or make them mate so that you may sell their offspring. But even aside from this, once a piñata dies, all of the other piñatas eat its innards consisting of candy. Doesn't that sound awesome?" Now, most of you would probably be wondering who the hell I was and why I was talking to you. Others would consider what I said and wonder just what combination of drugs I'm on and where you can get some. This is a prime example of an idea that is absolutely crazy on paper, but with proper execution, beautiful visuals, solid gameplay, and a decent amount of replayability can make for one grand experience. Such is the story of Viva Piñata. But if you've seen my review of that game, then you already know all of this. So why bring it up? Well, this manages to segue into the follow-up title, which I will be looking at in this video. This follow-up is titled Viva Piñata: Trouble in Paradise. Released only 2 years later in 2008, this game received mostly favorable reviews all around. But what are my thoughts going back into this strange yet beautiful and vibrant world of sentient candy-stuffed papier-mâché beings? Well, let's take a trip back to this colorful fantasy land and find out. This game begins with the evil Professor Pester and his group of ruffians attempting to obtain files on every piñata in order to figure out their weaknesses. However, due to their complete incompetence, they accidentally wiped out all records of the piñatas on the island. While this stopped their dastardly plan, it also caused quite a stir in Piñata Central. Because there are no records and no information compiled on these piñatas, there is a mass amount of chaos while attempting to send piñatas to birthday parties. What, hasn't anyone around here heard of backup hard drives? Well, anyway, in light of this debacle, it's up to you to once again put on your gardening overalls and attempt to lure more piñatas into your garden for cataloging purposes. So in other words, you're doing the exact same thing as the first game, albeit this time for a different reason. The gameplay this time around is very largely the same as before. All of the shopkeepers are the same, along with the majority of the tools and helpers. So, what is different about this game? Well, let's begin with the interface. The use of tools is largely streamlined this time around with the addition of a seed bag in your inventory, allowing you to purchase and plant seeds without having to manually go to the store. But along with this, you gain the ability to set markers with your shovels. By setting these markers, you can dig up the area between them in one fell swoop. This makes adding ponds to your garden not only more convenient, but also makes them more symmetrical. The next addition is called a trick stick. This can be used to teach piñatas tricks, which in turn will make them more valuable. Speaking of piñatas, as I've been doing all throughout this video, let's move on to them. This game has the standard 60 piñatas from the first title, along with adding 26 more. Luring a piñata into your garden is largely the same. You must meet certain requirements for them to show up, visit, become residents, or romance. But this time around, there is also the element of hunting. You will be able to head out to the desert and the Piñartic to trap some of the wild piñatas there. These piñatas range from penguins, vultures, snakes, geckos, and even yaks. Just look at this cute little guy. While in the wild, you can purchase traps and bait from Piñata Central. Most of these piñatas require a specific type of bait to lure them into a trap. Once the trap is sprung, the piñata can then be shipped to your garden. However, this is only half the battle. Once there, you have to make your garden more hospitable for them. How do you go about doing this? Well, you can now use packets to pour sand or snow into your garden. That way you can have specific contained segments of your garden of extreme heat, cold, and moderate temperatures all right next to each other. I hate to burst the developers' bubbles, but weather doesn't work that way. But this scientific flaw aside, this does allow for a great amount of variety in your garden, along with more customization options. Let's move on to the romance aspect of the game, shall we? Like last time, you must guide your piñata through a maze to their respective lover. However, unlike last time, you must collect a certain amount of hearts along the way. Also unlike last time, along with explosive edges and explosive moving edges, there are bombs that will follow you or detonate if you get too close to them. Once you become a master romancer of a specific species, you will then begin to obtain wildcard variations on your piñatas, along with the possibility of twins. Wildcards not only get a shiny star next to their name and have some sort of anomaly, but they are also, by and large, much more valuable than their standard counterparts. This edition allows for some very quick cash flow, almost to the point where money is no issue. But let's not forget about what is probably the most glaring addition to the game: multiplayer. You can play with 2 players locally, or 4 over Xbox Live, and all work together in improving your garden. Because let's face it, you can hire an NPC to look after your garden, but only humans can understand specificity. The final addition to this game, well, addition worth mentioning anyway, is the ability to play minigames. There are 2 minigames to play. The first involves putting a piñata from your garden in a beauty contest to be judged by various characters in the game. If your piñata is impressive enough to beat out the other contestants, then you are the winner. The second minigame involves racing against 3 other piñatas, some of which belong to Professor Pester. While racing, there will be all types of terrain. The objective is to have your piñata be on its preferential type of terrain for the longest period to get ahead. But watch out, other piñatas can fire lothers at you, which slow you down. And now for the reviewing. Looking at the graphics, there really isn't too much different here. There is the addition of falling snow, along with better looking rain physics, but by and large the overall look is the same. But considering these are some rather impressive visuals, I really can't complain. Moving on to the gameplay, this aspect is also quite good. The addition of a streamlined menu makes for easier farming and organization of your garden. Heck, even making piñatas move to a different area of your garden is less of a chore due to better AI. Now, there is a large amount of music left over from the first game, but there are also some additions. And if there's one thing you can depend on, it's Rare's Grant Kirkhope putting together a fantastic and peaceful OST. So, what are my final thoughts on this second venture to Piñata Island? Well, there are quite a few tweaks and additions that make this game fun, but to be honest, I sort of felt like I was playing the same game over again. Allow me to explain. You get a plot of land, level up enough to expand it, gain upgrades for your tools, unlock the same amount of shopkeepers, lure piñatas to your garden, most of which were in the first game, then you plant flowers and trees, the majority of which were also in the first game, and attempt to convert sour piñatas. Once again, the majority of them were also in the first game. So in short, this game really just feels like one big DLC rather than an entirely separate game. Now, normally this would upset me. However, this time it really doesn't. Why? Because this game only cost me $20. Oh, if I had picked this game up brand new, this review would have an entirely different tone. But as it is, I can't be too mad at this game. In fact, if you plan on playing a Viva Piñata game, I'd recommend this one over its predecessor. Because like I said before, it's like playing the first game with quite a few additions. And if you plan on raising your piñatas as your own, it's better to have all of the tools at your disposal. So until next time, this is E-Dog once again saying, Viva Piñata! See you next time.